Welcome again to databasedesign.weebly.com. What we're going to do today is kind of do a recap of the website and an analysis of kind of from the idea, the inception of the idea to what the website is today. And so I'd like to start off by talking first of all about what I feel like the educational usefulness is of the interface. And I'd like to probably say that with more attention to the content modules, that I think the website could be very useful. I think it definitely fills a gap that's out there between people that know absolutely nothing about databases and a lot of the information that's on the internet right now. A lot of it's very technical in nature and probably over the head of what the majority of working professionals would need, who find themselves in a situation where they need to learn something about databases to use in their current positions, which is the kind of the audience that I was targeting the website for. As far as supporting documentation goes for the website, I've had that beat into me over and over through the years. Document, uh, document. And I have yet to do a very good job of doing that. I always feel like I'm going to wait and do it at the end, and usually don't get around to doing it. I think doing it along the way is probably the best way to make sure that you get it done and do it as the features that you would be documenting are fresh in your mind, and you remember why you did it the way that you did it. So I think that's probably one area that I probably could improve on would definitely be the documentation for the website and helping users know how to navigate and use it, and those sorts of things. Describe the planning of this project, covering the key points. Well, initially, when presented with the task of coming up with an idea to try to teach people about, um, the only area I have a lot of expertise is what I do professionally, and that is develop databases. And so that's kind of the area that I felt most comfortable with trying to instruct somebody else on. So that's what I chose, is to show people how to do relational database design. I actually enjoyed the way the class was structured, as far as coming up with the idea, identifying the audience, creating the graphic organizer. I think all these things, a lot of these principles are similar for both the class and even in designing a database. So I'm familiar with a number of the steps here. A graphic organizer was helpful to help kind of lay out, get my ideas out on paper. A sitemap really helped break the website down into the pages that I hoped to populate with content. And then the style guide, even if you don't stick by it, at least get you started thinking about, color schemes and the overall look and feel of what you want the website to be. My initial style guide and what I ended up with were fairly different. Some of the things were fairly close. I tried to get specific with the colors on my style guide, and even though I kept my links as like green and then orange when they had been visited, they were different colors of green and orange in the end. So some of those things change, but at least you've laid some groundwork to start thinking about it with those. Um, I also reduced the number of pages from my original sitemap to what the website looks like today. I ran out of the things I felt like to say that were meaningful, and then once I got there, I look back on it now and I think, wow, I really could have broken this down maybe a little bit more, maybe kept some of those pages, and just filled in some of the content. I think I make some assumptions that the users are going to know things or pick up the um, the meanings of things more quickly than they probably will in reality. I chose the colors, going back to the style guide that I did, because I wanted something that kind of stood out. I wanted something that looked a little bit different and that was exciting to look at. Um, with that being said, I received feedback from at least two individuals that the neon green background color, especially when I had like I had a fairly in-your-face green background. for the site in the beginning. But anyway, was kind of distracting to look at, especially if you blew the page up on a larger monitor and the actual content part of the website was small. Um, enough that you really had a whole lot of the background present. So I tried to extend the template, widen the template by a few hundred pixels, and then I took away the dramatic green background and I created kind of this grid, which I think is better. But I think, you know, from my usability test, I think it's still probably a little distracting. Maybe even less green, or maybe, you know what, just go with a, you know, a simple elegant black and not put any color back there at all is probably would be the best thing to do. I really, as far as the site content goes and the way that I chose to organize it, we'll actually move the mouse around now. I try to give users, you know, a jump right in and get started now button on the, you know, on the home page. If they had been here and, you know, looked at the site before, you know, instead of having to navigate down to the left-hand navigation, they could just, you know, jump right in and get started. I organized the content on what I felt like somebody that didn't really know much about databases, maybe had some experience with spreadsheets, but didn't really know what a database was. To take them through the steps of discovering what is a database, where are they used every day, because we're using databases all the time, and we're encountering people and, you know, in daily activities that we do that are you know, managing the information that we're seeking, or, you know, that about us in a database. So I mean, we run into them all the time, but we're just not really aware of them. So try to raise awareness in the first module of, you know, why use a database, and kind of walk users through, you know, what a database is. Give them a real quick example right off the bat of, you know, what a database is. Discuss a, you know, an overly complex example, and then kind of as a just as a food for thought, and then having users go through and evaluate what they feel like, you know, their need would be. And I think that's, you know, that's probably a real helpful place to start if you're just, you know, beginning to think about this. And the questions that are on here are pretty, you know, pretty open-ended. You know, there's obviously not a right or wrong answer to any of them, but just to try to get people thinking about, you know, maybe even thinking about some things that they didn't think about initially when they started thinking about, maybe a database would be helpful. Um, and then, you know, throw a little, you know, a little feedback opportunity for them, you know, at the end of each of the first couple modules here, so they can kind of, you know, just, you know, something, you know, a little more interactive to get them thinking. After that, we, you know, jump into, you know, analyzing database software. I mean, I think that's probably, yeah, I kind of went back and forth between planning your database first and then choosing your database software. But I think planning your database is going to be somewhat dependent upon the tool that you use to build it in ultimately. If you're going to build it in something like Microsoft Access or FileMaker on your desktop, then I think some of the planning and considerations for how you want to model the data will be different. At least it has been for my experience. And so I ended up going with, you know, the overview of what some of the choices are in database software. As far as platforms go, I tried to stay away from anything that was really software specific. Most people are probably familiar with Access and certainly familiar with FileMaker Pro, if you're a Mac user at all. And then just you know, as a couple of examples to go through of pointing out some useful features and you know, and some cons too for, you know, desktop. I ended up not mentioning at all any server-based software, and I didn't mention the couple, two or three online softwares either. I mean, if you do a search online, I figured, you know, leave it up to the users to maybe, you know, look those out. And I also thought that putting some of that information maybe in the blog that I appended to the end here would be okay too. It doesn't really have much bearing, I don't think, on the lesson itself as far as trying to get people to, you know, to thinking about databases. But it would probably be helpful for people that don't have any knowledge in the area. So I think using the blog as a place to disseminate some of that information might be a better place for it. Finally, the planning your database area, you know, jumps in a lot more detail on relational design, and gives users a couple of modeling activities that they can do. This is one area. I'll kind of jump ahead a little bit about improvement. That once I started writing the content for this page, I quickly figured out that there's a whole lot here, and I guess when you've been doing it for 10 plus years, you lose track of a lot of the finer detail of decision making that you do on a daily basis. But it was a good reminder for me of a lot of the design process that I do, and I don't really consciously think about it anymore. So this is one area that I think could be broken down much more granularly and gone through in more detail, and probably would be much more beneficial to a user that would be coming along looking for information here. This information is good information, I think, but it's probably still at a level that's high enough that a very entry-level beginner is going to have a tough time grasping it. As far as challenges that I encountered along the way, and what I've learned, I learned that putting up meaningful content is still something that I struggle with. I also learned that even though the words make sense to me, that I take a lot for granted, make a lot of assumptions on the users that are going to be using the website. And I think those are also challenges that we need to overcome as instructors or people that are leading or trying to instruct others in using something, is really how to make analogies and how to break stuff down in a meaningful way to help a person with no foundation in whatever the subject area is at all, to get them comfortable with thinking about it. Recap on some improvements I know right off the bat that could be made. I would definitely spend more time writing the lessons and trying to break them into more manageable chunks. I know a lot of the concepts are pretty abstract, and maybe even trying to incorporate more hands-on activities, or maybe put in some kind of worksheets that people could print off, or create Google Forms where they could actually interact with their subject matter that they're wanting to use the database for. Make it a little more, maybe a little more hands-on. Especially with the last module. Overall, I think the website is user-friendly. I think the navigation works pretty well. I incorporated a lot of changes from my usability test, as far as giving users the ability to bounce back and forth. Once they get to the bottom of the article, they can go directly onto the next page, or they can go back to the previous page if they needed to. So that was one of the items of feedback that I got. A couple of the other feedback items that I got that I think would make make the website more useful, but I just ran out of time trying to incorporate them, would be to put a glossary of terms on here, and maybe hyperlink. My intention was to hyperlink some of these words that I put in bold or in capital letters in the beginning. In the beginning of the website, like these ones, I had intended on coming back and hyperlinking these to like a glossary of terms, where you could go and just kind of review some of these words that you might not be used to seeing. So enjoyed the project, enjoyed the process. I'd really like to see it turned into completely completed and revised, and turned into something that'd be useful for others out there. I think I got a good start on it, but I do know there's some places where it could be improved a bit. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy looking at the site, and sorry this ended up being long-winded, but enjoyed the project and hope you guys enjoy it too. So thanks for watching. Bye.